Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers working out former Cowboys QB, report. The Pittsburgh Steelers currently have 4 quarterbacks on their 90-man roster, with players reporting for training camp on July 24. But apparently, they aren't completely satisfied with the room. KPRC2 NFL insider Aaron Wilson reported that the Steelers are hosting former Dallas Cowboys and Denver Broncos quarterback Ben DiNucci for a workout on July 23. He cited a league source after delivering the news. #Steelers bring in former Broncos quarterback Ben DiNucci for a workout per a league source at KPRC2. DiNucci was most recently with the Broncos in 2023, serving as an emergency third stringer for Sean Payton, but he's best known for his time with the Cowboys. In 2021, DiNucci starred in HBO's Hard Knocks as he battled for a roster spot behind Dak Prescott. He failed to make the final cut that summer, throwing 4 interceptions during the preseason compared to 2 touchdowns, but did do enough to earn a practice squad role, sticking with the organization until the following cutdown in August of 2022. DiNucci also appeared in 3 Cowboys regular season outings the season prior, registering a 53.5 completion percentage with 7 sacks and a QBR of 10.2 throughout the 2020 campaign. Although his NFL track record has been unreliable so far, the 27-year-old DiNucci has proven himself at the XFL level, leading the Seattle Sea Dragons to a 7-3 record in spring of 2023. His team fell short against the DC Defenders in the playoffs, but to no fault of DiNucci, who threw for 3 touchdowns and a 102.3 passer rating that game. On the XFL season, DiNucci passed for 2,671 yards and 20 touchdowns over 10 starts at a completion percentage of 64.7. He also threw 13 interceptions while rushing for 305 yards and 3 TDs. DiNucci has history in Pittsburgh, starting games with the Panthers in 2017. He transferred to James Madison to close out his collegiate career. If the Steelers are taking a look at DiNucci, it probably means they're uncertain about the quarterback depth behind Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. That could mean trouble for reserves Kyle Allen and/or John Reese Plumlee. The 28-year-old Allen is the most established of these 3, having started games for the Carolina Panthers, Washington Commanders, and Houston Texans. He also served as a backup with the Buffalo Bills in 2023. It feels unlikely that the Steelers release Allen before training camp begins. Plumlee, a UDFA out of UCF, is less secure, but Pittsburgh liked the rookie enough to sign him after the draft. The Athletic's Mark Kaboly highlighted his athleticism on July 9, while also acknowledging that he's a long shot to make the roster. Of course, the alternative is that the Steelers take 0 chances at quarterback, rostering 5 throughout camp. A strategy of that nature might be considered a bit extreme, but Pittsburgh has already proven their unwillingness to take chances at the position this spring. Speaking of the Steelers' QB room, The Athletic's Mike DeFabua broke down the quarterback battle between Wilson and Fields on July 22. And for those hoping for a heated competition this August, that may not be the case according to the Pittsburgh Reporter. On one hand, this could have been the top competition on our list. Roster bubble players on other teams' Cowboys could be monitoring. Training camps for all 32 NFL teams are getting underway, or will be shortly, and not long after preseason games arrive. The Dallas Cowboys, like other teams around the league, will be closely monitoring what's happening on other teams and will be on the lookout for players they could potentially pick up via a possible trade or off the waiver wire. Today, we are going to identify a handful of players around the league who could be on the roster bubble with their respective teams. These players could be someone the Cowboys could be monitoring closely as potential upgrades at certain positions for this year's roster. Whether or not any of these players become available, though, remains to be seen. Coming off a promising rookie season in 2021, Javonte Williams unfortunately suffered a multi-ligament knee injury in 2022, and although he was able to return quickly, he was a shell of his former self in 2023. After a lackluster performance last year and with him entering the final year of his contract, Williams finds himself in a numbers game at RB heading into 2024. If he gets caught in the numbers crunch, the Cowboys could pounce. After 2 disappointing seasons, the Titans' former first-round pick, 18th overall, in 2022 could be cut or traded prior to the 2024 season. Treylon Burks is currently buried on the depth chart behind DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, and Tyler Boyd. He probably needs a strong training camp/preseason to stick around in Tennessee, otherwise he could be released or traded. He's a risk-reward type of player Dallas likes to take a chance on. Jackson Carman was Trevor Lawrence's blindside protector during their time together at Clemson, but hasn't settled in as a starting-caliber OT during his 3 seasons with the Bengals. After adding Amarius Mims and Trent Brown this offseason, he finds himself on the roster bubble in Cincinnati. He has potential OT/OG position flex and is a former high draft pick. The Cowboys value that in OL prospects and could be monitoring his availability. Levi Onwuzurike, a 2021 second-round pick by the Detroit Lions, has battled injuries and inconsistency in his first few years in the NFL. Detroit is currently pretty deep at defensive tackle heading into training camp, and there will be a heated position battle to see who can claim one of the coveted roster spots. Onwuzurike will have to prove his consistency and health to stick around this year, otherwise he'll be at risk of being released or traded. The Dallas Cowboys urged to sign defensive playmaker. The Dallas Cowboys are coming off another disappointing postseason. The Cowboys were the 2nd seed in the NFC and were shocked by an upsetting defeat by the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay made history by becoming the first-ever 7th-seeded team to advance past the first round of the playoffs. Jordan Love led the Packers to a dominant 48-32 victory over the Cowboys, throwing 3 touchdowns. In recent memory, the Dallas Cowboys have put together talented rosters that achieve success in the regular season but fall short in the postseason. With multiple years in a row of continuous struggles in the postseason, fans expected the Cowboys to make splashy moves this offseason to try and compete for the Super Bowl next year. However, the Cowboys did not do much. Dallas let multiple starters walk in the free agency and did not add key pieces to replace them. To add to the disappointment, they have yet to be able to agree to terms on new deals with the franchise-caliber players they do have. Players like CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott are looking for contract extensions, and the Cowboys should prioritize bringing them back. The Dallas Cowboys are set with Parsons and Lawrence on the edges of the defensive line, but adding a veteran to the mix wouldn't hurt. According to an article by Blogging the Boys, the Cowboys should target free agent pass rusher Carl Lawson. Behind Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, on the depth chart things are a bit murky with young/unproven players, Blogging the Boys wrote. If for whatever reason they struggle in their backup roles in training camp/preseason, Dallas may need to look for some more proven outside help. While Lawson hasn't been quite the same dominant player he was earlier in his career after tearing his Achilles in 2021, and was a regularly healthy scratch with the Jets last season, he still has enough in the tank to help the Cowboys if they don't like what they see from their youngsters in training camp/preseason. Lawson spent 4 seasons with the Cincinnati Bengals before signing a deal with the New York Jets in 2021. After signing with the Jets, Lawson ruptured his Achilles and missed the entire season. Lawson has had an up-and-down career, but a fresh start with the Cowboys could revamp it. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Carl Lawson? Leave your opinion in the comments.